Hello and welcome to the RPG Rundown. I'm Seth.
And I'm Jeff. From Dungeons to Deep Space, we have the systems and the stories for your table. Hey, welcome back to the RPG Rundown. We have another great episode for you today where we're going to discuss 8 tips to making great player characters. But
Six
before we
tips.
dive into that, oh, that is right, 6 steps. I originally wrote this out for 8. And we reduced them down to
Yes.
the best ones. But before we dive into that, let's talk about the games we've played, our hobby progress, and any TTRPG news or products that have caught our attention in the last few weeks. So with that said, what have you been into, Seth? What have you been playing?
Uh, so I have not
Or
had
doing?
the opportunity to play a whole lot recently.
Okay.
Life's been really busy. We've been, school started and I have had a work trip. Then I was sick. Then my wife and kids were sick. Then it was Labor Day and my son's birthday.
Yep.
So yeah, there's been no
A lot.
play. That's a lot, yes.
Hmm.
However, I have been reading my Cosmere RPG PDFs and my Draw Steel RPG PDFs because those have
Okay.
both released digitally. Um, so I've been reading those off and on. And then along with the Cosmere RPG kind of tying into that, I started reading the Mistborn Era 2 series.
Ooh, okay.
Have you read any of the Mistborn books yet, Jeff?
I have. I've read the first 3 books.
Okay.
Yep.
Uh, highly recommend that
Mhm.
you start reading slash listening to Era 2.
Okay.
Way
I've heard
shorter.
good things about Era 2, but I
So
got
I,
kind of held
I'll
up in the 3rd book. I don't know.
of Era
Mistborn.
1. Yeah.
Era 1, yeah.
It's did you finish it?
I have not finished it. I
Okay.
actually kind of took a break on it.
No, that's fine. Uh
Yep.
Definitely finish it. Um
I will.
then so what I'll say is that I was hesitant because when I think I started like book 1 or read or listened to a preview of book 1 of
Mhm.
Era 2 and I wasn't like super excited about it at first.
Okay.
That said, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read it. Like I know our friend Seth of All Trades from
Hmm.
his own podcast
Right.
and YouTube channel, and also from our friends over at the Pocket Dimension.
Hmm.
But that Seth, not me,
The other Seth.
loves Mistborn. Like he
Yes.
loves Stormlight as well, but he is like he loves the magic system in Mistborn better.
Hmm.
In Era 1, I didn't quite get that. I didn't like I
Okay.
liked
Good. Because
it.
I'm like,
I liked it.
I've read Era 1 and I'm like, I don't get it. No,
I
it's okay. I
right.
give you that.
So I liked Era 1. Don't get me wrong. It's a good book
Hmm.
or great series. And I like the magic system. It's cool, it's different.
Hmm.
But it didn't quite pull me in.
Hmm.
Now, not as much as Stormlight did. Stormlight, with the
Right.
whole light is magic, light is power for
Hmm.
magic kind of thing, definitely pulled me in. I loved the whole Radiant Knight stuff.
Hmm.
Hit
No, I
me
do too.
right in the fantasy feels. Um,
And I like the characters in Stormlight better too. The
yes,
character arcs and
there's a
development. Yeah.
lot there's a lot more character development. Obviously, too, Mistborn was written earlier. It's
Hmm.
also not nearly as long.
Right.
Era
That's very
2,
true.
so the Era 2 books, I can't remember how long the Era 1 books were, but the Era 2 books are
Hmm.
like 14 to 18 hours total and
Right.
Audible. So they're kind of easier to get through.
Yeah,
You can do that.
that's
You
really,
could do
especially when
that.
you read Brandon Sanderson normally.
Right. You could do
Like,
that in a week, easy.
right,
You
yeah.
just read a couple, if you're listening a couple hours a day to Audible or something, if you have chores to do.
Hmm.
But I will say this, and knowing you and your interests, I think you'll love Era 2
Okay.
way more.
Okay. All right, that's good.
Um,
Like, I really liked the first 2 books. This 3rd one, and I think like I don't want to give anything away, but the like enemy in the 3rd one at this point isn't very fleshed out, and I just don't get what they're fighting against. Like, and
so
so.
okay. So here's the thing. Minor spoiler. But Jeff's obviously read all of the Stormlight archives.
Mhm.
So what are the gods in the Cosmere? They're the shards, right?
Oh yeah.
So essentially,
Yeah.
it's a shard.
Okay. Right.
So
See,
they're
but at this
fighting
point,
against
like
one of the
where
shards.
I'm at, yeah, at this point they just haven't like I mean, they're fighting against something and bad stuff's happening, but we don't have like a
Yeah.
personification of a bad person yet. And I don't know. To me, I've struggled to get as into the third book as I did the first two. The first two I
It
really enjoyed.
it is a little harder in my opinion because it's not clearly defined until a
Right.
little later. Um, but essentially a shard is playing against them. Ruin is his
Hmm.
name technically. Because
Yes.
there's Ruin and Preservation are the two shards that are on Scadrial.
Right. Yeah.
So, now what I will say that will also give you a really cool look at it is that, so I read books 1, 2, 3 for Era 2, and then I
Hmm.
just finished A Secret History. The Secret History, so you could technically read it earlier. You could read it right after book 3 because The Secret History, which in order to listen to the audiobook, you have to get the Arcanum Unbound, and it's a section in Arcanum Unbound
Oh,
for
okay. That's
Scadrial.
interesting.
So it's not the whole
Yeah.
thing because Arcanum Unbound is basically all the extra stories from
Yeah.
the Cosmere.
From
But in
Cosmic, yeah.
that one, you have you have it's basically what happened to Kelsier after he died.
Mm. Oh, that's it. That's interesting. Okay.
So, and what
Yeah.
he's been doing. So, like I said, that's really cool. There are some minor spoilers in it for Era 2, but I
Okay.
think that since you haven't read Era 2, if you just wanted to listen to that to figure out where kind of that's set up, you could do it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
After you finish book 3. Anyway,
Right. Yeah.
but Era 2 is phenomenal. Seth, if you're listening, loving it. It has made me want to go back and pre-order the Mistborn RPG books.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Which I
after
wasn't
reading
sure
the
if I wanted
Mistborn,
to. So
right. Yeah. After reading Mistborn, I seen how it could be gamified very well.
sure.
But then at the same time, I see flaws in the gamification because ultimately, like your Mistborn are your ultimate characters, and everyone else
Sure.
is somewhat,
So okay,
they're
so
something, but they're
let me
not
give
that
you an
powerful.
analogy, and for those watching and listening,
Hmm.
apologies for this like brief interlude of Brandon Sanderson universe discussion, but it
Right.
ties to the Cosmere RPG, which I just received the Stormlight Archive
Yeah.
PDFs, and the books are supposed to come this month. I don't have a tracking number or anything. They could come any day. I've seen a YouTube video of someone who's already received theirs, so I'm hopeful.
Right. Yes. It's coming.
But so first of all, Era 2 is steampunk Western industrial revolution.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that. I like Westerns.
So think about this. You have the metal born powers, right?
Mhm.
Mistborn, metalborn, right? Because and I will say, at least so far, and I'm through the first 3 books, there are no
Mhm.
Mistborn.
Okay. So is
There are
the Era
just
2, is that sequel to the
sequel.
Era 1? Okay.
Yes. So basically, what happens at the end of book 3 in Era 1,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of jump starts a new era. Like literally, it's like
Okay.
kind of a
Yep.
reset in a certain way.
Yep.
And so it's Era 2 is like 600 years after that.
Right. Okay.
And so they are in a peaceful, prosperous kind of time, and they've progressed somewhat technologically, but not
Right.
like a ton. But they have guns, they have electricity. It's new. So like think of like electricity in the early 1800s when it was like, oh, the governor's mansion just got electricity, and then like
Right.
all the
Yeah.
rich people
It's
start
a
getting
huge thing. Yeah.
electricity. Yeah. And before that, it's like candles and all that stuff. So
Right.
and then like motor cars start appearing in the streets. So it's kind of that.
Mhm.
But it's like, think about if you have metal born abilities and you're one of those people who has the ability to push or pull metal, and somebody's shooting at you with bullets. Pretty powerful.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. That's very true.
Unless there's a metal that doesn't respond to that,
Right.
which then
Well,
also is
naturally,
the thing.
there's going to be. Yeah.
So again, like there's a lot more going on, and there's a lot more kind of insight into the Metalborn magic system in Era 2. And like I said, they're also progressing technologically. So it's almost like, think about it this way. Think about it as Era 1 was Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
Era 2 is Korra's adventure, where there's growing technology. Normal people
There's been quite a bit of advancement.
Normal people have kind of leveled the playing fields with technology in certain areas. So
do you think is the Mistborn RPG, is it going to be based in Era 1 or Era 2?
All.
Oh, all of it? Okay.
Yes.
So is it up to the DM to kind of choose the campaign where the campaign setting is? Okay.
Now, here's the thing. Now that I'd started reading it, Brandon was like, hey, there is going to be an Era 3. My whole premise was to do 3 eras going through the technology. Era 3 is going to be alternate.
Yeah. Isn't Era 3 the Ghost Bloods?
No. Ghost Bloods is a separate series.
Separate thing altogether. Okay, I thought that was related to Mistborn.
Era 3, well, I'm sure it will be. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But Era 3 for Mistborn is going to be alternate 80s.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be pretty wild.
This is what I'm saying, Jeff. I'm like, okay, I'm in now. I'm in. So I'm excited. So all of that said, I've been reading it, I've been consuming a lot about it. And so I'm like, I got to save some money so that I can go ahead and pre-order the Mistborn books. I know they're not going to be for another year. And I don't even have my Cosmere, my Stormlight books yet, except for PDF. But I'm like, okay, I confirmed that I want them, at least the PDF, but probably the books too. So anyway, what have you been doing, Jeff?
Yeah, so I've actually been playing some TTRPG. I've been playing D&D. I've been playing Daggerheart. And so we have a weekly in-person Daggerheart campaign. It was supposed to be 5 weeks long. We're somewhere around 7 weeks in now. So it's going very well. We've had great character development. We've had a full-on character death. It was amazing. Our Seraph, he went down in the middle of a battle against a homebrew beast that I called a Grove Beast. You would love him. The Grove Beasts they're like, think of them like a Displacer Beast, except they're a mixture of a like panther with like a panther, scorpion, wasp, and their venom, if you get hit by their venom, it actually has like the effects of a basilisk, where it has like a paralyzing effect instead of countdown.
Nice.
And so every time it lands a strike, any character that's been hit with it, it counts down 1 until they're paralyzed. And so really fun creatures, and they ran headlong into this grove where there were 2 of them locked in a cage, and the battle went on long enough that the druids that were there were able to actually set the Grove Beast free. And so the last Grove Beast is up, and my party is getting decimated. They're getting hurt, and my Seraph, who is the team's tank, he goes down and he uses the death mechanic basically to go out in glory. He lands. Nice. He went out in a blaze of glory. He landed the last critical hit, and it was enough to kill the Grove Beast, and then he fell and died. And so that was our last session. We had our first full-on character death. I have a few characters now that have scars. I will say Daggerheart, if you play it right, it is a deadlier game than D&D. Not so much so that it feels like brutal, but we've had a lot more characters go down than I feel like I normally do in D&D, but at the same time, they're really enjoying combat. The initiative list system and stuff has been really good. But yeah, so my Daggerheart campaign's been going really good. Our online D&D campaign is on an unintentional hiatus, and it's mostly me. My late night schedules have been messed up lately. So that one is still kind of on pause, but we are very close to the end of that campaign. I would say probably have another session or 2 left. And then outside of that, I actually took a break from Mistborn, and I've been reading Red Rising. And I'm on 3rd book right now, which is Morningstar. And if you haven't read it, I will say, I know we talked a little bit about it. It is a bit more of like a brutal book. Pierce Brown kind of goes into some pretty detailed deaths and stuff. But the book itself, I don't know. I enjoy the story a lot. I did almost quit reading it in this series in the 3rd book, though, because I thought they killed off one of my favorite characters, and I about had enough of their crap because they've killed off a few other characters that I really liked. But I think It might be okay. I don't know. That's actually why I was like, I need 20 minutes because I was listening to my book. I drove home and I got here and like it was at a really, really big part of Morningstar. And you messaged and you're like, I got to eat. And I'm like, oh, good. Give me 20 minutes.
Nice, nice.
But I got to the end. I got to
Yeah,
the
I've read the
stopping point
first
anyway.
one. I have not had motivation to dive into the others. Which I mean, like I've heard it's great, but it's
Yes.
just I've had so many other things. Obviously I also do
Oh yeah.
BattleTech stuff. So
Yeah.
that there's so many things that I'm doing for that. I'm probably doing more content for that or planning more content for that. Um, even though I release just as many episodes of this as I do YouTube videos of that.
Right. No, I get it. I get it.
So
But yeah, so Red Rising, that's been what I've been reading. But of course, I listen to books, so it's like when I'm driving around and doing
yeah,
stuff. But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much me. We
awesome.
want to move
Well,
on to
yeah.
cool stuff
So
coming out.
just a brief mention. Obviously, I said that I had the digital versions, but the physical versions of Draw Steel and Cosmere, the Stormlight book versions of RPG, are shipping now. So looking forward to getting those. I actually only did the PDFs of the Draw Steel, but I'm kind of considering getting them when they come to retail, just
Mhm.
because
Okay.
I really did enjoy that system. I
I
know
really like
Austin.
Draw Still. That's
I know
another one I want to
Austin
play
really
some more.
enjoyed it.
Hmm.
I did buy the $10 adventure PDF that is supposed to be like I don't know 20 plus hours of content, maybe 30 even hours. Um, it's got a small adventure, so considering,
Hmm.
considering that one, but also too, crowdfunding stuff, is always going on, but trying not to, I always kind of get picky, pick and choose. That game table that we mentioned the last time,
Hmm.
Starmork, its Kickstarter is going on right now. If you want to check it out, the $2.99 sale price is over. That was like the first 48 hours,
Okay.
but it's only $3.49 for a game
Yeah,
table. So
that is a great deal. I mean,
it's a
honestly.
pretty amazing deal. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm not going to show that one. However, I am going to show the next two just briefly because I am interested in both of them. One from just a system perspective, but also because of the history of them. But essentially, we have two games coming out of Japan's domestic TTRPG scene. And so I'm actually so the first one I heard about, I'm actually gonna talk about last because it's not in campaign yet. But the second one I heard about is in campaign now, and it is actually called uh Where's Blade. And so these are two systems that are coming out of, like I said, Japan's domestic TTRPG scene, and they are for the first time being translated into English. So they have never been translated
Okay.
into English before. It's kind of like Dragonbane. Dragonbane was
Hmm.
only in um, Swedish before, and it was around in like the 70s or 80s. And so Where's Blade actually came out in 80, 84, I think. 84, 85. But essentially it is an RPG that is mechs versus magic. Okay.
Ooh.
We've had a conversation about
Yeah.
this before, Jeff. And we
Hmm.
all know how I love mechs. I'm a big Battletech
Yep.
fan. I'm a fan of Western mecha over Eastern mecha more. Like I like Battletech. I like the kind of like lumbering, slower, rather than the mech suits of Gundam. I don't hate
Hmm.
Gundam or anything. It's just not like I like the other stuff better.
Right.
Where's Blade is this interesting blend of fantasy, um, mecha, and not cyberpunk. I wouldn't say, but anyway, it's this really cool idea. Um, they do have a and the company that's doing it is called Lion Wing. Hold on, Lion Wing. Is it Studios? No, I'm not sure.
I don't know. All I see
Publishing.
on my page is Lion Wing here. Yeah.
Lion Wing Publishing. So, um, and they are fans that are, I think, doing the converting. So,
That's cool.
but yeah, so Where's Blade is this Japanese fantasy TTRPG. It defined a whole era of tabletop gaming's. It actually says it was published in 1989, and it was the first major mecha RPG to see commercial release in Japan. And then it hasn't necessarily changed much over the years, but it did spawn like almost 100 novels,
Right.
6 audio dramas, setting guides, video games, and then, there's been 4 decades of history of things that are going on. Also, it is part of the big 3 RPGs in Japan. I'll talk about why they're called that in a second.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just super, super into it. There's only 4 classes for the pilots to be, but then there's like 120 different mecha to choose from. So it's almost like you have 4 classes, and then the mecha is really your subclass and the growth of your character because you grow with the mech. So I'm super interested in it.
That is pretty cool. The art on it too has a really nice, like, I mean, it looks like old school art, and I mean,
so
it probably
it's like 80s and 90s Japan, and that's another reason why they're producing it. They're like, hey, we want to go back to the 80s and 90s Japan, or we want to pay homage to it. And they said too that this book is not going to be like there's a lot of great art, but they said it's not going to be the modern RPG books where there's like just every page is sweeping art with small sections of text. This is a crunchy RPG. It's a 2D10 system. 2D10. It says 2D10 plus 4 system. And so, but I'm looking forward to like all this great like 80s black and white line art. Some of the artwork here, it's very 80s. Mecha kind of classic Japan artwork from kind of back then. Like I said, there's a magic system. There's a whole bunch of different mechs. And so, yeah, I'm super looking forward to it.
yeah, that looks cool.
Right now, I'm just backing it at digital, just because, again, limited physical room here with my growing collection of varying TTRPG systems. But there is a free digital download as well that you can get from there. And so it kind of says who this is for. This is not a modern game where it's like got a great onboarding. This is for TTRPG veterans looking for kind of a deep classic style system with that Japanese design philosophy. People who are fans of like Final Fantasy, Escaflowne, Record of Lotus War, and then anyone who just likes mecha, Also, they kind of have
sounds
it as, like,
really
this
cool.
Preserve the RPG legacy, right? The historical legacy. So they've already done super well. They've reached a bunch of stretch goals, and so I'm looking forward to that for sure. Let's see. Here's kind of the when you're watching the video, there is a really cool, like, just like I said, it's definitely 80s anime, kind of mecha, fantasy artwork. And so, yeah, I'm excited for that. So
yeah, that one looks really fun. That'll be a cool one to play test. It definitely seems, outside of the typical TTRPG realm of like just style and even like with it being the mecha and stuff like that is cool.
And then the second one is called Sword World RPG, and it is the biggest domestic Japanese TTRPG. And in fact, like D&D is like not even on the list really for Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have a hard time breaking into Japan because Sword World it's kind of like, I think basically Sword World was like an early take on D&D because they didn't have it locally, and they even tried, I think, to get TSR to invest in it and maybe kind of combine it with as a setting in D&D, and they didn't want it, and now it's like massive. in
Right.
Japan.
That's
It,
pretty
it
cool.
is like the number one RPG in Japan.
Yeah.
It also has not ever come to English translation. So its campaign is actually going to be early 2026. However,
Mhm.
you can sign up and get an early PDF of it as well. And so it is actually by Mugen Gaming. And
Mhm.
it's actually Sword World 2.5. So it's had a few iterations since the early
Right.
days. It is a lot easier of a system, so they say. It's a D6 pool system. And so yeah, it's coming. Like I said, if you sign up for the emails, they'll send you a link to download the free preview. And it again kind of has like a very anime how's what is it? Howl's Floating Castle kind of aesthetic.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, it's massive. Okay, as far
Right.
as like where it is globally, it is Japan's number one TTRPG. Um, and yeah, so it's coming, and I'm excited to give that a try as well. But yeah, like so talking about the three, right? There's big three for Japanese RPGs. The other one is called Roads to Lord. I don't really know anything about that one, but basically there were some things that these three spawned. They introduced so they're the top domestically developed in Japan, but they started groundwork for this replay culture where game sessions are published like light novels.
Okay.
And I love
Kind of
that.
interesting.
So
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. So anyway, those are things that are I'm excited about in the crowdfunding world.
Mhm.
And yeah, looking forward to trying those out. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. They sound great.
but hey, let's jump into the main topic for today,
Let's do it.
which is creating a great character
Mhm.
that fun to play, fun to team up with player character.
Mhm.
So we're not talking about NPCs, we're talking about that character. So
The character.
um,
What you're going to be playing for
yeah,
the next several sessions,
absolutely. And like let's be honest, creating a fun and interesting character can be difficult sometimes.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
even for experienced players. However, I think that especially for new players, there is this kind of like mentality of video game character creator when they're looking at creating a character. And so we kind of want to dispel um that impulse to create a character like you are for a video game, because
Mhm.
in tabletop
Right.
RPG there's so much more that you have to
Mhm.
consider. In a video game it's straightforward. You're playing by yourself, maybe with other people, but you
Mhm.
want to be the best you can absolutely be at what you're doing. There's no down, there's no, you don't want any negatives. You just want to be the best, the
Mhm.
best, the best to
Right.
defeat all the things in your path as you go through. Um,
Mhm.
and not that you don't want to have those experiences in D&D or other TTRPGs, but um, you don't necessarily need to min max your stats. You don't need to choose the best race, class, background combo to give you the best, um, you know, skills or abilities or
Mhm.
talents.
Right.
So to be, do the most damage, be the best tank or healer. There's a lot more.
Right.
So we're gonna dive
Yep.
into that today. And why don't you start us off with number one?
Yeah. So, number one, and this is something that I like to do if I'm sitting down. I know that, in a week from now, I'm starting, or let's be honest, if I know about 2 hours from now, we're starting a new campaign and I haven't built my character yet, and I need to get it created, and I'm just drawing complete blanks, or if I'm creating my first character, like this is something I love to do, and that is start with inspiration. And what I mean by that is look at some of your favorite fictional or historical characters. Like look at your favorite show and like I'm not saying build that character, like don't go and actually say, "Oh, you know what, in this campaign, I think that I'm going to play Loki," and you actually named him Loki and now he's the son of Odin and like I'm not saying that, but look at those characters that you really like and use them as inspiration. And so I've actually played a character that was very similar to Loki. I played him as a trickster cleric. And one of the things I like to do is I like to play the game is, what if they had a baby? And what I mean about that is take a couple of your favorite fictional characters and put them together and see what it would be like. Okay, what if Loki and Katniss Everdeen had a baby, right? Like, what is the perfect mixture of your trickster cleric and archer? And no, statistically, that is not going to be an optimized build because you shouldn't build your cleric as a dexterous based character. But would it be fun to play? Absolutely. Could you
Yeah.
do some really cool trickery things with that bow and arrow? Absolutely. And so, like, I love to look at, like, just start with some sort of inspiration. I know there's a character I've played in like 2 or 3 different one shots now, and he's loosely based on Wit from the Cosmere books. And he's a ton of fun. He's a bard,
Yeah.
and he smokes a pipe, and he uses magic to create imagery and stuff like that in the smoke of it. And he's a really fun character. And kind of I did that. I started with that inspiration that I wanted him to have sort of the persona of Wit, and some of like the intelligence and the way that he discussed things of like Sherlock Holmes, and kind of I brought a bunch of these different things together to create that character. And so I love the idea of like starting with inspiration. I don't like the idea of just playing a different character. I don't want to just play Thor. That's not fun. But I like to use, say, Maui from Moana as inspiration.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a paladin that is inspired by Maui, and he runs around singing his own songs. His name's Keonan, and he's a Leonin, and he has a great song about that.
That's awesome.
Uh, yeah, and so
No,
like I love to just start with inspiration.
absolutely. You don't necessarily want to copy a character
Right.
from a book or TV show that you've read or watched. But yeah, the inspiration is important. What is a character? What is an archetype that you would want to play?
Hmm.
Do you want to play the smuggler or the rogue or the soldier or the cleric? It definitely starts with what do you want to do.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, like we said, as we're starting off in creating a character, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or Daggerheart or Draw
Hmm.
Steel, one of the things that you typically start doing is you start with like stats, right? And I would say this
Hmm.
is number two. I would say don't try to min max for every situation,
Hmm.
right? Remember that this is a party based or kind of
Hmm.
cooperative game with a group
Right.
or a party. So, maybe find one thing that you want to be good at, but don't worry if you're going to be bad at something else,
Hmm.
right?
Right. That's expected.
You don't have
That
to
allows your
be
party to fill in the
good.
gaps.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
don't have to be uh, you know, good at sneaking and good at magic and good at being the strongest person in the party. You know,
Mhm. Right.
like you're probably going to be able to do one of those things.
Mhm.
And so don't worry and don't even be afraid to like let those other things be
Mhm.
almost negative or a detriment, right? So don't
Right.
min max in trying to do that. Usually the character creation rules don't let you max things out, right? Usually it's
Mhm.
like
Yeah, they're
if you
set up
go
that way, yeah.
if you're whether you're rolling dice or you're doing an array or whatever you're doing, if you're using standard numbers, you'll have those high ones, and then you'll have at least one that's it's a little low. It's like a -1
Mhm.
or a 0 at
Right.
least. And so that's okay. Kind of lean into that even
Mhm.
because of number 3.
Yeah. Which is one of my favorites is don't be afraid to give your characters flaws. Right. We're
Absolutely.
not creating All Might here. Like we don't need a character that is good at absolute everything. In fact, if you had a character in your party that was good at absolute everything, that would be incredibly boring for the rest of your party. right? We need to
Yes.
allow our rogue to do rogue things and our ranger to do ranger things, and we need to allow the cleric to do cleric things. We don't want our fighter to just be good at everything so that no one gets to do things, right? And so we should give our characters flaws, and like this can be absolutely like, okay, yes, my orc fighter, he has a -1 to intelligence, and he lets it be shown. All right,
Yeah.
right, and like there are those flaws where it's like you actually live up to your stats. That's a lot of fun, but also you can give your character RP flaws. What if just going to go a little bit funny and also a little bit dark here. Like, what if your orc fighter actually had experienced something really tragic as a child, and he's afraid of colored liquid? Okay, now he's terrified of potions. He's terrified of blood. If the barkeep
It's
hands
a
him the
great
wrong
flaw.
drink and it's not water, like he throws it to the ground. He runs. Just flaws like that. Now, I like flaws up to the point that they're not a detriment to the rest of my party. At the end of the day, if your character's flaw is he doesn't trust any orc he sees, he kills, and then you have an orc join your party.
I
Well,
mean, it depends on how much
now
of
we have a
a
problem.
detriment, right? I mean, so like I have an example that I love, and it's one of my
Hmm.
favorites. A friend of mine, he was playing a dragonborn paladin. Okay.
Okay.
And he created him with a couple unique flaws that I had, loved. One, and when I say flaws, like he definitely had a low score for some mechanical stuff, but those RP flaws that you're talking about, he had
Hmm.
two specifically that he wrote down and he committed to them. And one of them was that anyone who had a crossbow, he attacked no matter what.
Okay.
He was like,
Yeah.
had this traumatic experience or something with crossbows. He hates them. He attacks them.
Hmm.
Two, anytime he goes into combat, he yells for justice and then he charges.
Hmm.
And
Right.
so there's not really, it's really hard to get him to sneak. They almost like we had to kind of trick him one time and make sure that he didn't know we were going into combat so that we could try to sneak in first before he yelled for justice. So a little bit of a detriment to the party, right? Oh my gosh, now we have to
Right.
deal with this character who has attacked this guard
Yes.
because he has a crossbow.
Right.
But that is also an RP challenge, right? That is also something that is fun and a little unique and silly, but at the same time, you could see somebody having a tick like this,
Right.
having the, the having the flaw of, committing to something like, always shouting when they go into battle.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing. So
Yeah,
yes,
no. Pax
don't be
Telemanus.
afraid. I love
Anyway.
it. I love it.
No, absolutely, and I think that you can have things that are a detriment to a point, and I guess where I struggle on that is like creating a character that steals from everyone. Well, you're not gonna have a great party if you rummage through the barbarian's pockets while he's asleep, right? Like
I would say don't
flaws like that.
Instead of a detriment is a little bit worse than just a challenge, right? So
right, yeah.
that
A challenge to the party is good. A detriment, I think, it makes it not fun
or
for other
even
players.
antagonistic to other party members. Nobody ever wants to play with someone who's antagonistic to the other party members.
Right.
Very rarely, I would say.
Very rarely, yeah. And so I would just say, and honestly, that is just also knowing and regarding your table. Maybe your table does like that, and maybe your DM allows PvP at the table. I don't. That's one of the things I cover in session 0. Is there is no PvP. You will never make a roll against another player, and that's just trying to keep the party together, type of thing. But your DM may allow it. Your DM may encourage it. You might be the DM and like, yeah, fight it out, roll the dice, see what happens.
Yeah.
And so really that is, again, going to go into the party you're playing with and stuff. But flaws ultimately are going to be a good thing.
They're going to be fun, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, number 4, consider how you want your character to grow. Whether that's a subclass, whether that is how you want them to, like if there's a particular spell that you want to be a part of their repertoire for something in their background. Maybe they're a wizard, but you don't want them to use fire at all. So how do you build that as you grow your character? Not just mechanically, but also RP, What is, what is the backstory? How do you tie that in with the rest of the group? How do you communicate that? Make sure that you're communicating these things with your DM and your party as
Right.
well,
Yeah.
by the way. But yeah, how do you want it to grow? How do you want them to level? How do you want them to, and sometimes these things change for sure. That's why we have um, multi-classing. That's why
Hmm.
we
Right.
have decisions that get made down the road as you build a
Hmm.
character. But yeah, consider where you want your character to go.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're building it for level 1 or level 3, because that's sometimes
Hmm.
we start at level 3.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's great.
Most of the time.
But let's where's it you want to take the character? What do you
Hmm.
think that does he want to be a master swordsman? Does he want to be the most learned wizard? Or is he
Hmm.
just trying to survive? So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think absolutely. And one of the things I want to kind of add to that too is let me think, like find story elements that make sense for like your character's advancement. Like that's one of the things I always
yeah,
like, okay, my character got a new spell. Is there any kind of like story element that I can bring into it? Why that spell? Why does he go that direction? Like I had a life cleric that started to draw in from necromancy. Why? What was going on? Where does that come from? And that all kind of affected his story and things
yeah,
of that nature.
absolutely.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so that's number 4. Consider where you
Mhm.
want your character, how you want your character to grow through the
Yep.
campaign. But let's look at number 5 here.
Yep. And so this one is one that I get all the time. I play with a lot of new players. I get a lot of new players into the game. And I get a lot of people that tell me I'm not creative enough to play D&D, or I'm not creative enough. I can't think of things like that. And so one of the things I would say is determine your level of role play comfort and then build accordingly. And now this is what I mean by that. If you are new to the game or you don't feel comfortable with an accent or pretending to be a bad guy or a good guy, or being, if you don't want to like role play as someone else but you just want to start playing the game, then I would encourage you to build a character with the same persona that you already have. And I mean, actually, my very first character, Jace Faraday, that I played in Seth's campaign when he introduced me to D&D. I played Jace for over 2 years. Jace
Yeah,
was fully based off of my persona. The decisions Jace made were the same decisions Jeff would have made. And so like I really didn't have to think all that out there because Jace was based on me. And even as it got into some of his darker stuff, that was still based on me. And so like if you're one of those people, it's like, oh, I don't know how to role play or I don't know how to think like this person, just to get started with the game. And then maybe you can venture out from there, because I've ventured out in all kinds of characters since Jace. But like to get
absolutely.
started, just start with a character that's just like you. My wife
Yeah,
will always play a ranger, probably an elf ranger, and her decisions are always based on what my wife would also decide. That's the kind of character she likes to play, and that's what she sticks to. And
yeah,
so I think absolutely think about that. I mean, if you're not comfortable with role play, play a character that would make the same decisions you make.
absolutely. And
Hmm.
obviously, we're not saying base the character off yourself.
Right.
You don't have to be a 5'8" human with
Right.
low athletic skills.
I mean, Chase was, but that's not the point. I get.
Sure, sure. But like you said, yeah, definitely to your comfortability.
Right.
And
And
it's
I'm meaning
okay.
that in just decision making type RP and like
Yes.
how you would talk to people. You could still be an orc or a Goliath or whatever kind of character you want to play, but their decision making, their thoughts, their conversations are how you would have them, because
Yeah.
that's the time you're going to role play.
Don't try to, you don't have to be someone who uses an accent. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Or if if there's certain things that you want your character to do in like a role play setting, but you're not necessarily, you don't feel like you're the best at it, talk to your GM and make sure
Hmm.
that they're comfortable with you saying, okay, well, he would probably do this, or can you me remember in this situation my character would do this.
Hmm.
I because
Right.
I may not be very good at remembering that kind of thing. So
Right.
absolutely okay to do that.
Hmm.
um
Yep. For sure.
and I think that kind of goes right along with the last one, right? Is the number
Hmm.
6 is build for the campaign that your DM has prepared,
Mm,
right?
that's huge. Yep.
talk to your DM, talk to the other players, see what they're thinking for the kind of character that they're creating, and try to coordinate, try to go along. It is okay to have 5 paladins in a party, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like that could be an entire party, and
I think that'd be awesome.
there's enough variety that you could do. But at the same time, especially if you're just starting out, maybe don't pick the same thing, or at least not a third thing. So if there are 2 paladins, don't pick a paladin.
Right.
But yeah, talk to your DM. Also, too, if you're playing in a Fallout style post-apocalyptic wasteland, don't make a elven archer who loves nature when it's a desert wasteland.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, I would say, and I've seen this too, is like you almost hate to have like a really super charismatic character that thrives in taverns and around people, and then they are in a dungeon crawl.
Yeah.
It's like you never get to use the best of your abilities. But if you'd talk to your DM just a little bit beforehand, you'd realize, oh, this kind of campaign isn't really suited for this. Or maybe you just have a super killer, ready to fight everything barbarian, but this is actually going to be more of a political type campaign.
Yeah.
Which honestly could be fun too. But I mean, you get what we're saying.
I had somebody that built for turning undead, for fighting undead, right? And they did not consult with the DM to realize we weren't playing in a campaign where there was going to be any undead.
Right.
So they had some of their big abilities focused around fighting undead creatures and skeletons, and they didn't get to use them. So
yeah. Now, I will say, I don't know if I would have necessarily given this information as the DM, but I did have a character. He actually died in this campaign, now that I think of it. But he built his character all around poison, and then the whole campaign, the mini campaign, was fighting demons, which are
immune to poison.
They're immune to poison. So a lot of what he had did not work. Now, as the DM, maybe I would have told him if he'd brought his character build to me beforehand, but I don't know if I would. I don't know. We'll have to see that situation, how it comes out. But he was kind of same thing though. I
get that.
He's really struggled because a lot of his big stuff. Of course, I didn't feel as bad because it was a min-max character. He had like it was one of those that, you watch the short and it's like build this and you'll have like green, purple worm poison at level 3 or whatever. Like it was one of those characters.
Right.
So I didn't feel as bad about killing him.
No, not really. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. At the end of the day, create the character that you want to play, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to play somebody who is the strongest person that you encounter as you go, then, dump all those stats into your strength. If you want to be the smoothest thief and lockpick, put all that into the appropriate stat for whatever system you're playing. Like, do those things for sure, but don't forget about the other part. Don't forget about, don't try to make them perfect. Try to make them fun. Try to make them fun, not just for you, but for the rest of the party and the DM to play with as well.
Right. I agree with that.
So
all right, before we wrap up, I want to ask you, what is your favorite type of, we're both DMs here, but what is your favorite type of character to play when you get to play?
Ooh, that's tough. That's tough, Jeff.
I've narrowed mine down to what I like to play, even though it's a broad range of classes, but I know the kind of character I like to play.
I like a low to mid magic character. Right now, I would say I have an affinity for like, oh my gosh, what's it called? The like technology plus magic.
Oh, like
well, like an alchemist, but like what's the
class? Yeah, Artificer.
Artificer, thank you.
Yes.
I don't know. I really like the Artificer as a thing. I really like the combination of magic and technology lately.
Yeah, that's cool.
That said, I also just love to make characters with a fun, unique flaw.
Yeah, I like that as well. So I think that I've discovered I really like to play charismatic characters, and I've realized that I can play this in almost any kind of character and still put some points into charisma to give him, but I've played like a paladin that was pretty charismatic, obviously a bard that's charismatic, but I've also played like a cleric that is charismatic and obviously got to take a little bit of detriment in what you should be pointing your stuff in to put a little bit into charisma. But I like to play that character that can go out and talk and mingle and be like the
Yeah.
the charismatic one. So that is my preference. I love to play that type of character. But at the same time, I've played the dark sorcerer that sits in the back and
I mean,
just casts magic missile.
I feel like as someone who's like a veteran, right? Sometimes I feel like I have to play the charismatic character because
Mhm.
if I'm with a certain group, maybe not
Yeah,
everyone wants to do the talking or lead the RP. That
right.
said, I also do like playing the non-charismatic character.
Hmm. Right.
So a character who like I've had several where it's like, yeah, they don't know social cues. And
Hmm.
so because it's a little bit of a challenge, right? Like instead of being charismatic, what would they do that would be super awkward in this moment? So I
Right.
do like that a little bit.
See, I've went a little bit honestly the other way. I've played a character. I can't remember his name now, but I played him in a one shot or a multi shot, and it was like he like in his town was like famous, but he thinks he's famous everywhere he goes. So when people walk up to him, he'll like sign his name on their arms and stuff, and just
Nice.
he's yeah. He
Yeah,
wasn't always liked by most people, but he was fun to play.
that's okay. It's fun. Awesome.
But
Well, that is our look at 6 tips for creating a great character. Uh, we are super thankful for you joining us, especially if you've stuck around this far. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Leave us a comment there or in whatever podcast app you may be listening to us on. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can also reach us on our socials. If you search for the RPG Rundown, you should be able to find us. There's a couple others that are close, but look for the logo, look for the Love Thy Nerd stamp. You should be able to find us on YouTube. It's at the RPG Rundown LTN because we are part of the Love Thy Nerd podcast network, aren't we, Jeff?
yes, we are. Which, if you are not familiar with Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network, you should definitely check it out. It is a lot of awesome nerdy dudes and gals that love Jesus and love to just talk about what we love. We have everything from board games to wrestling to us over here with TTRPGs and kind of everything in between.
Absolutely. We are here to love and serve our nerdy neighbors, and we appreciate them and everything they do. But from our table to yours, thanks for joining the RPG Rundown.
And until next time, may your rolls be epic and your stories legendary.